Season 7 is now live, and with that comes a fresh wave of balance changes. In my last video, I was very critical of the balance towards the end of Season 6, so today we're going to go over each change for Season 7, and I'll give you my opinions on how it'll affect the meta across multiple ranks. So for Orisa, her fortified damage reduction is going from 50% to 45%. This is honestly a really small nerf, and I'm not sure if it's going to change very much. I expected them to reduce it by 10%, not 5%, and it also doesn't do anything about the current counterpicking problem because the most effective tank against Orisa is still Zarya, but a nerf is a nerf, so I won't complain about this too much yet. So for Ramattra, Nemesis form cooldown has been reduced from 8 to 7 seconds. I also didn't expect a Ramattra buff, but he has been getting reduced playtime when compared to the other tanks lately, so I think this is fair. I think there's a chance that this is actually a much bigger buff than expected though, because you have to remember that whenever he transforms into Nemesis form, he gains 225 armor health. So by having a shorter cooldown, it means he's able to get that huge armor bonus more often, which is really going to contribute to his already very good sustain. My early prediction is that Ramattra might be seeing some extra playtime in the higher ranks this season, so be ready for that. So for Wrecking Ball's primary fire, the amount of shots required to get to his maximum spread has been increased from 20 to 30. Finally, ball mains can rejoice. I know it's been tough out there, but this is definitely going to help you guys out a lot. Nah, but in all seriousness, this isn't a massive buff, but when we account for the Sombra changes, which make her a lot less effective against tanks, I predict ball players are going to have a lot more fun this season. So for Zarya, she's getting a partial revert of her changes from the last patch. Projected barrier health has been reduced from 225 to 200 HP, and projected barrier size has been reduced 15% to return it to its original size. This is another good change, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough to bring her out of the meta. Because the reduced 8-second cooldown for ally barriers still remains, she still gains energy much quicker than she used to. If she's still overperforming after this patch, I think a good move would be to decrease the amount of time required for her energy to start draining after her bubbles get shot. Right now it's at 2 seconds, and changing that to its old Overwatch 1 value of 1 second would help rein her in a little bit more. For Cassidy, his combat roll damage reduction has been increased from 50% to 75%. I honestly forgot this was even a part of this ability. This change doesn't really affect his overall place in the meta, but now Cass can survive a point-blank Junkrat tire if he rolls at the right time, which is pretty cool and skillful, so overall, this is an okay change. For Mei, her changes to bring back the freeze icicle combo from a few seasons ago have been reverted. So this means that the deep chill passive has been removed, the endothermic blaster damage per second has gone up from 70 to 100, and her blaster now immediately slows 40% instead of building up over time. This change is really interesting because when the developers explained their reasoning behind it, it sounded like Mei was underperforming, and in order to buff her, they could either increase her CC on freeze or revert to the original Overwatch 2 design, and they chose the original design to avoid giving her more CC. However, if you actually compare this reverted version of Mei to the Deep Chill version, you'll notice she actually still has more CC than before. With Deep Chill, her freeze debuff started at a 30% slow and built up to 40% over around 1.2 seconds. Now in Season 7, the freeze debuff is just always 40%. So overall, I think this is a pretty big buff for Mei, and I expect her to become really annoying again, which I am not looking forward to. Now for the big one, Sombra. This is gonna take a minute. For her machine pistol, her damage has been increased from 7.5 to 8, minimum spread has been reduced, number of shots until maximum spread has been increased from 3 to 6, and reload time has been reduced from 1.4 to 1.2. On its own, this just sounds like a bunch of buffs to her machine pistol, but you have to remember that her Opportunist has been removed. Opportunist made Sombra deal 25% bonus damage to enemies after hacking them, which made her pistol deal around 9.4 damage per bullet. So to hacked targets, this is a nerf. Her hack is also receiving a nerf. Hack's cast time has been reduced from 0.75 seconds to 0.65 seconds, but now it cancels stealth when hacking an enemy hero. The cooldown has also increased from 4 to 6 seconds, but has a reduced cooldown of 3 seconds if interrupted or if a non-enemy hero is hacked, which refers to turrets, lamp, and health packs. Stealth has been reworked into her new passive. Sombra automatically becomes invisible after 3.5 seconds while not shooting, using a damage ability, or receiving damage. Stealth's movement speed bonus has been reduced from 60 to 45%. Both the fade in and fade out duration of stealth has been decreased, which I believe means that she will be transforming into stealth and out of stealth quicker. Additionally, they made a couple UI changes, which are mostly quality of life improvements. Now for her brand new ability, Virus. It reads, fire a projectile that damages an enemy over time. Damage is dealt faster on hacked enemies. Impact damage is 10, followed by 100 over 4 seconds for a total of 110 damage on a non-hacked target, whereas impact damage is 20, followed by 100 damage over 2 seconds on hacked targets. So it does appear to be more effective to hack a target before shooting this at them. Translocator is also receiving some big changes. It can no longer be manually activated and will automatically teleport Sombra 0.25 seconds after being thrown or impacting the environment, whichever happens first. It also reduces the stealth passive cooldown after teleporting, meaning you turn invisible quicker after using the ability. Its projectile speed has been increased from 25 to 72, the cooldown has been reduced from 6 to 5 seconds and begins after Sombra teleports to it, and finally, the projectile launch initial vertical offset has been removed, which basically means that it no longer has a visible arc if you throw it straight up. Finally, we have some nerfs to EMP. EMP's charge cost has been increased by 15%, and the damage dealt to enemies has been decreased from 40% to 30%. I'm going to talk about this more at the end of the video, but for now I'll say I really like these changes. For Torbjorn, his rivet gun recovery time has been increased from 0.48 to 0.51 seconds, and his overload bonus health has been decreased from 100 to 75. This is a really great nerf because it addresses the two main problems with Torbjorn right now, which is his fire rate and overall sustain. That fire rate nerf puts him in between the old value, which was 0.55, and the buffed value. This is fair because that additional overload nerf is, in my opinion, a larger nerf than just reverting his fire rate to 0.55. Torb has been probably the tankiest DPS for a while. He has a much smaller hitbox than Bastion, and pre-nerf, Overload brought him up to 350 HP, which, when stacked with additional overhealth from Brig Rally or Lifeweaver's Tree, basically made him a tank. With this nerf, he becomes much more diveable for characters like Winston and Genji, which will make playing against him feel a lot more fair. For Brigitte, her whip shot damage has been increased from 70 to 80. This increases her ranged damage a little bit, but more importantly, makes her flail, bash, whip combo deal 165 damage instead of 155. Prior to this change, a 200 health character could take this combo and then need 2 more flails at the end to be killed. Now Brig only needs 1 extra flail to kill a 200 health target. This makes Brig much better at dueling DPS characters alone and is honestly probably pretty fun to play, so I might be giving her some extra playtime this season. And last but not least, we have Illari. So for Illari, her solar rifle healing has been decreased from 120 to 105 per second. This nerf will help bring down her burst healing, which was frankly the most powerful part of her kit. 105 healing per second is still an insane number, so it probably won't affect her effectiveness at healing DPS characters too much, but it will make her a little bit worse at instantly refilling a tank's health bar, as her maximum healing output before needing to recharge has been reduced from 360 to 315. Overall, I'm not too sure how I feel about this patch. I think it's a move in the right direction, but I feel like it's not that big of a change from what we had previously. It feels like the devs are scared to nerf certain characters too hard. Like, Orisas' nerf is effectively really small, so I don't see her exiting the meta unless Ramatra's buff ends up making him the better pick, which is still somewhat problematic because it just shows that power creep is continuing to be a problem. Also, I know Bastion was nerfed 2 weeks ago, but I think he's still a really strong pick. And with Torbjorn getting nerfed, I think Bastion is just going to replace him in the meta for most ranks, which I think might make the game feel more annoying to play. On the positive side though, I really do like Sombra's rework, and I'll probably make a video following up on that after I give her some playtime. This new version seems to lower her effectiveness against dive characters while giving her more active things to do against the rest of the enemy team. This is a lot more fair, and I'd like to give Blizzard devs props for coming up with this really solid rework. Anyways, that's it for today. If you enjoyed, leave a like and comment your opinions down below. I saw a ton of varying opinions on my last video's comments section, and I really do read all the comments, so if you leave one, there's a really good chance I'll respond. Remember to subscribe and have a good day. Peace.